The Cincinnati Bengals survive. I think that's the correct way to say that. Listen, doesn't matter how you win, just matters that you win. So similar to last year's opening playoff game, as almost identical. They were up 7, and it comes down to a 4th down try, a sort of desperation heave at the end zone. It's a little closer to the end zone in the Raiders game, but regardless, a win is a win. Baltimore, division rival, they play you tough, but you found a way to get the victory. I want to talk about Joe Burrow in this game and the Bengals offense. I thought there were some nice things in this game. Again, I know people are going to talk about the negatives, but I did think there were some positives to take away and some negatives. I think both were true, so we're going to talk about it all. I'll have another film study coming out about the other side of the ball, Bengals defense against the Ravens offense, but anyways, let's just get into it. So let's start off with this play. This would be the one that put them up 10 points, so it's going to be a zone coverage play, and you see the concept on the screen for Cincinnati. It's kind of tough, right? I mean, one of the issues with trying to throw the ball in this situation where you need 7 yards to get into the end zone is you just don't have that much space. If you need 7 yards at your own 20, well, then you have the option to throw 30 yards down the field, so the opposing defense has to defend that far down the field. Here, you only have to defend 17 yards down the field, which just means you don't have as much space. The windows aren't going to be as big. So what do you do in this spot? Well, a lot of times what people like to do is throw underneath. That is Jamar Chase's route. That's where he's ending up. And trust me, it's not a coincidence that the route that you're probably going to want to look towards happens to be the route your best receiver is running. This is intentional. Zach Taylor is being smart here by saying, hey, if we're probably going to throw underneath, let's put our best guy at breaking tackles underneath, because maybe he could, if he has to break one, break one. Look at how when Burrow takes the snap, he is going to look over, and Jamar Chase is open right here. This is good stuff by Cincinnati. Burrow does flip it to Chase. Chase is able to get into the end zone for a touchdown. So again, good stuff there. I really thought that Burrow and Chase, that connection was definitely working. Like, this play is another example where I thought that the play was, working. It's a 3rd down and 10. You knew going in, listen, you don't want to give Jamar Chase too many one-on-ones, and this isn't a pure one-on-one because there are 2 safeties deep, and there's only 1 safety on that side of the field. So if Chase does run a go route, you probably are going to be running into double coverage, and that helps. This is Marcus Peters on Chase, which it seemed like the idea here with Peters was, hey, Peters isn't exactly known for his speed. That's kind of the one knock on him, although he's fast enough, but that's not really what he's known for. So in a situation like this, you don't really have to worry about him getting burned deep because you do have safety help over the top, but Jamar Chase can still find ways to win. Watch how right when this play begins, Jamar Chase so good at that first step and getting in position to where Peters is still definitely a little bit afraid of Chase going over the top, especially at this spot. If Chase cuts right now, it will be in front of the 1st down marker, and it's a 3rd down and 10. So you think you'd be okay in that spot. Chase does cut now, but watch him after the catch be able to move so well, he's still able to pick up the 1st down. That's just a great play by Jamar Chase. I mean, this is why Jamar Chase was worth the number 5 overall pick and was the better pick than Penei Sewell, who's played very well for the Detroit Lions, because he can do stuff like this. And in a situation like this, when you need somebody to come through, even against good competition. I mean, listen, Marcus Peters is a good corner, especially when he has safety help over the top. Then he becomes an elite corner, and even with that, Chase is able to still find a way to win. But again, you have some issues, and this is an issue. This has been an issue for the Bengals, but it's a bit of a different issue than people will realize. So this is going to be a zone coverage play, and people talk about the offensive line, and people talk about the, I brought up the Jamar Chase and Penei Sewell argument a little bit earlier. People often view it as if your quarterback doesn't have time to throw, well then he can't. It doesn't matter how good your receivers are, he can't get it to them. And while that's technically true when you think about it that way, the reality is, more often than not, your quarterback is going to have time to get to their first read. Almost every single snap, they have time to get to their first read, regardless of how quick pressure comes. Usually you get about 2.5 seconds. Watch as right when this play begins, you see that right here, we are 2.5 seconds into the play. Joe Burrow looks down the field and just doesn't love what he sees, and this is where pass rush comes in. If Joe Burrow loved what he saw, he would already be in a throwing motion, and realistically, the ball would probably already be coming out of his hand. But because he didn't, this is where Odafe Oweh can come in and watch what he's going to do. He's able to get to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow actually looked like he tripped over the tackle's foot. That was interesting enough. While a lot gets made about the Bengals offensive line, that was actually Jonah Williams, who is typically pretty good, although worth noting, Pro Football Focus had him as one of the worst tackles of the year this season, so maybe not having his best year, and Odafe Oweh taking advantage. So again, it's the whole football team sport, right? Everything works together. The back end works, giving Odafe Oweh enough time, but still, you only have so much time, but he's able to get there and get the pressure to get Joe Burrow to trip over, Jonah Williams, and then he gets the sack. So good stuff by him. There was then this play, which again, it's more Ja'Marr Chase stuff, but in a bit of a different way where, Zach Taylor, I feel like when he does play action, it really works. Like, he doesn't always do it, but when he does run a play action, it's typically very effective. And that's what's going to happen here. As you see Baltimore, just the setup they're in, it's a zone coverage play, but you see how many guys are close to that line. They are expecting a run here. There are 2 tight ends in the game for Cincinnati, so I get it. But this is great news for Ja'Marr Chase since it's not going to actually be a handoff. Watch how when Burrow does run this play action, he's going to look down the field. He's going to fire down the field, and you see just how open Ja'Marr Chase got as the linebackers moved far in. And the corner who's covering him is currently a little bit off screen towards the right. It's once again it's Marcus Peters, who, again, you can say what you want about Marcus Peters, about the game he's having. He's trying to cover Ja'Marr Chase. So listen, it's easier said than done. I'm not going to blame him too much, but it's a great example of putting your players in position to succeed, right? Ja'Marr Chase is awesome. You don't have to scheme him open. You don't even have to scheme him out of a double team. He can just beat double teams. He's that good. But when you scheme him in situations where he can succeed, it doesn't just allow him to get open. It allows him to get so open that Joe Burrow could have hit this throw with his left hand if he wanted to. But still, great throw from Burrow. Great route from Chase. But again, later on in the game, it was sort of more of that stuff that we're talking about earlier, of just the coverage unit coming through for Baltimore, where, playing cover 2 or cover 3 zone on this play, basically making sure that, Ja'Marr Chase is going to have a crowd around him, right? You're not going to get these one-on-one matchups. You could find a way to isolate and try to get a guy one-on-one, but they're not going to on this play. And for Joe Burrow, again, let's do the 2.5 second thing. Watch as Burrow takes the snap. He looks down the field. We are 2.5 seconds in, and Burrow is already stepping up and trying to find a way to run because he already says there's pressure coming. And if you can get that to happen quicker than 2.5 seconds, quarterbacks are going to have a tough time. And, it's unfortunate for the Bengals, really, because they did put so much resources into that offensive line, and all the injuries seem to happen at the worst possible time. But also, again, if someone got open quickly enough, Burrow wouldn't have had to worry about this. He could have thrown it right away, but just, again, it's hard to get someone open 10 yards down the field quickly. It just is. As you see, Burrow actually does a pretty good job of scrambling. For a second, it was like, okay, is he going to get it? No, he's not going to get it. There's a crowd of Baltimore players who eventually bring him down. And again, that gives Baltimore another chance here, as if Cincinnati got the first down, maybe they could have just ran out the clock right away. Good defense by Baltimore. But you know what? None of that matters because you won the football game. And at the end of the day, yes, maybe it took kind of a miracle play. That Sam Hubbard play, that was definitely, got a little lucky there that ended up working out. Sure, that's reasonable to say, I think. But at the same time, you make your own luck. They made that play. They deserve credit for that play. Yes, fluky things happen sometimes in football. It's about, finding a way to maximize your opportunities, and that's exactly what they did. They maximized their opportunities. Probably will have to play a little bit tighter, a little bit tougher when you play Buffalo, but you know what? Buffalo didn't have their best game either. Be very fascinated to see who comes out of that one. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always love hearing from ya, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.